you ever wonder if you're actually free? Not on paper, not under the law, but inside your own mind. Free to be still. Free to sit with yourself without grabbing for something. Think about your mornings. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the ground, your hand is already searching for your phone. Notifications, messages, a quick scroll, something new, something shiny, a distraction, then coffee, then maybe music, or a video playing in the background. And if you're on your way to work or school, more of the same. Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. The stream never ends. But what happens in the rare moments of silence, when nothing is playing, no one is texting, no screen is glowing? For most people it feels wrong, like something's missing. The silence feels heavy. So the instinct is immediate. You reach for a distraction, another hit of pleasure, another quick escape. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The problem isn't pleasure. Pleasure itself is natural. It's built into us to keep us alive. It pushes us toward food, toward warmth, toward connection. Without it, we wouldn't survive. But what happens when pleasure stops being a tool and becomes the whole point of living? What happens when comfort and distraction aren't choices anymore, but the default state of life? That's not freedom. That's a cage. And this is exactly what Aldous Huxley saw almost a century ago. He believed the future wouldn't be ruled by fear and violence, like Orwell warned in 1984. There wouldn't be police breaking down your door for thinking the wrong thought. Instead, people would learn to love their own captivity. They'd be so busy chasing pleasure, so overwhelmed with entertainment, that they'd never even think of rebelling. No chains, no whips, no prisons, just comfort, just dopamine, just a world where nobody questions anything, because nobody wants to. Look around you, what do you see? People staring into glowing screens, consuming, swiping, scrolling, filling every second with sound, images, stimulation, searching for relief from the smallest hint of boredom or discomfort. If Huxley was right, maybe we're not as free as we think. Maybe the endless pursuit of pleasure isn't just entertainment. Maybe it's the perfect form of control. Two men warned us about the future, George Orwell and Aldous Huxley. Both saw danger ahead, but the danger didn't look the same to them. Orwell imagined 1984, a future where people are crushed by fear. In his vision, freedom is stripped away by force. Thought is dangerous, books are banned. Every step is watched by the all-seeing eye of Big Brother. People obey because they are terrified not to. It's the nightmare of external oppression. Huxley imagined something very different. His book Brave New World describes a future where people aren't forced to obey at all. No chains, no secret police, no torture rooms. Instead, people accept their servitude willingly. Why? Because they're drowning in pleasure. They're conditioned to run from every discomfort, and they're given endless distractions to keep them numb. Think about that for a second. Orwell's world controls you through pain. Huxley's world controls you through comfort. Now ask yourself, which one looks more like the world we live in today? We don't have secret police kicking down doors for thought crimes, but we do have endless entertainment, non-stop advertising, and carefully engineered distractions designed to keep us from thinking too deeply. And here's the terrifying part. Huxley believed this kind of control would be more effective than Orwell's, because pain makes people rebel. Comfort makes them passive. A population entertained into submission doesn't need to be watched. It doesn't even want to resist. Huxley once wrote that the perfect dictatorship would have the appearance of democracy, but would be in reality a prison without walls. A prison where the prisoners would not even dream of escape. Why? Because they'd be distracted, they'd be entertained, they'd be taught to love their own chains. Look around at modern life. Ask yourself, is this freedom, or is this exactly what he described? In Huxley's world, people had soma, a drug that erased pain instantly, boredom, sadness, restlessness, all gone with one dose. Nobody had to feel, nobody had to think, nobody had to struggle. We don't have soma, but we don't need it. We've built our own versions. When you feel bored, you check your phone. When you feel anxious, you binge Netflix or scroll TikTok. When you feel lonely, you open a dating app. When you feel restless, you go shopping online. Every negative feeling has a ready-made escape button. But here's the problem. Every time you escape discomfort this way, you train your brain. You teach yourself that the solution to any pain isn't patience or reflection, but instant pleasure. Over time, your tolerance for discomfort disappears, silence feels unbearable, waiting feels impossible, sadness feels like a crisis, and the scary part, nobody is forcing you to do this. No one says, you must scroll for 3 hours. No one holds a gun to your head and says, buy this product, watch this video, keep consuming. On the surface, it looks like choice, but if it's truly a free choice, why is it so hard to stop? Because the system is designed that way. Every notification is a tiny hit of dopamine. Every video is engineered to grab your attention in seconds. Every ad is tailored to your desires. Algorithms learn what keeps you hooked and feed you more of it. Slowly, without noticing, you stop choosing. The system chooses for you. This is why Huxley's vision feels so real now. The prison doesn't look like a prison. It feels like entertainment. It feels like convenience. But little by little, it steals your ability to sit with yourself. It robs you of patience, resilience, and freedom. The bars of this prison aren't made of steel. They're made of pleasure, and most people, without realizing it, happily lock themselves inside. We live in a culture that tells us discomfort is the enemy. If you're sad, fix it fast. If you're bored, distract yourself. If you're lonely, swipe until someone matches with you. Every negative emotion is treated like a glitch that needs to be eliminated right away. But here's the problem. Discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is a teacher. Think about your own life for a moment. The times that really shaped you, were they moments of pleasure? Or were they moments when you struggled, when you failed, when you had to push through something that hurt? Almost always, it's the difficult seasons that build us. The breakup that forced you to understand yourself. The job loss that made you rethink your path. The rejection that gave you thicker skin. Now compare that to pleasure. Pleasure feels good, but it doesn't change you. It doesn't build depth. Eating your favorite food feels great, but once the taste fades, you're the same person. Watching a funny video makes you laugh, but once it ends, nothing in you has grown. Pleasure is like sugar. It gives a quick rush, then disappears. Huxley saw this clearly in Brave New World. In his society, pain was erased. If someone felt even a shadow of sadness, they took soma. If someone felt restless, they distracted themselves with sex, entertainment, or consumption. Nobody ever had to sit with their feelings. Nobody had to face the void. On the surface, it looked like paradise, no pain, no conflict. But in reality, it was hell. Why? Because without pain, there's no growth. Without struggle, there's no strength. And isn't that what we're seeing today? Look around you. We may not have soma, but we have its modern forms. Social media gives us instant validation, a notification, a like, a heart. It's our digital soma. Dating apps remove the sting of rejection. Streaming services drown silence in endless noise. Shopping websites promise joy with the click of a button. Food delivery brings comfort to the door without effort. Porn offers intimacy without the risk of vulnerability. Alcohol and drugs numb what we don't want to feel. Every single thing is designed to erase discomfort instantly. But here's the brutal truth. When we erase discomfort, we erase resilience. When everything is easy, even small problems feel unbearable. Think about how fragile we've become. A slow Wi-Fi connection feels like a crisis. Waiting in line feels like torture. A day without entertainment feels impossible. This fragility is not natural, it's conditioned. We've trained our brains to expect constant dopamine, constant ease, constant comfort, and the result is weakness. Let me ask you, what happens to muscles when you never use them? They waste away. The same thing happens to the human spirit. When you never sit with boredom, you forget how to imagine. When you never sit with silence, you forget how to reflect. When you never face pain, you forget how to endure. And that's when control becomes easy. Because here's the thing, strong people are hard to control. Someone who can face pain, who can sit with silence, who can carry boredom without reaching for a distraction, that person is dangerous to any system. They can't be manipulated with cheap rewards. They can't be broken by discomfort. But fragile people, people who depend on constant pleasure, they're the easiest to control. All you have to do is keep them comfortable, feed them enough distractions, enough dopamine hits, and they'll never ask bigger questions. They'll never resist. They'll never rebel. That's the cost of avoiding discomfort. On the surface, it feels like freedom. Freedom from pain, freedom from struggle. But in reality, it's the perfect trap. Because a society that cannot tolerate discomfort is a society that will hand over its freedom just to stay comfortable. And the scary part is that once you lose the ability to face discomfort, you don't even notice the prison closing in. You think you're choosing. You think you're free. But the truth is, you've been trained to avoid the very thing that makes you human. Struggle. Pain is not pleasant, but it's meaningful. Pleasure is pleasant, but it's empty. And when you build your life only around pleasure, you trade meaning for comfort and freedom for slavery. There's one truth about pleasure that we rarely stop to face. It doesn't last. That feeling after a good meal, the buzz after a drink, the rush of likes on a post, it's gone within minutes, sometimes seconds. And as soon as it fades, we start craving the next hit. That's the trap. Pleasure promises satisfaction but always leaves us hungry again. It's like pouring water into a cup with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you fill it, it never stays full. Now think about purpose. Purpose is different. Purpose doesn't fade as quickly. It doesn't disappear the moment the feeling wears off. Purpose is a thread that connects moments together, that makes pain bearable, that turns even ordinary struggles into something meaningful. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that people can endure almost any suffering if they have a why. He saw firsthand that prisoners who had a sense of purpose, whether it was to see a loved one again, to finish a piece of work, or simply to live with dignity, were the ones who survived. Those without purpose collapsed under the weight of suffering. And here lies the paradox. Pleasure avoids suffering but leaves us empty. Purpose accepts suffering and fills us with strength. Think about your own life. What are the moments you look back on with pride? Are they the nights you scrolled through endless videos? Or are they the times you worked hard for something, pushed through pain, achieved something that mattered? Pleasure is easy. It gives without asking, but it leaves nothing behind. Purpose is hard. It requires effort, sacrifice, even suffering, but it builds something lasting inside you. And here's why this matters so much today. Modern society doesn't want you to seek purpose. Purpose takes time. It takes silence. It takes depth. A person with purpose doesn't need constant distractions, doesn't buy into every new trend, doesn't rely on endless consumption to feel alive. They're harder to manipulate. But a person addicted to pleasure? That person is predictable. They're always chasing the next dopamine hit, always restless, always consuming. and that makes them easy to control. So the real question isn't whether pleasure is bad. The real question is, what are you building your life around? Fleeting moments that vanish in seconds, or a purpose that can carry you through years? Because at the end of the day, one fades, the other lasts. By now, it's clear that the endless chase for pleasure is a trap, but knowing that isn't enough. The harder question is, how do you escape it? How do you take back control in a world that is designed to keep you distracted? The first step is awareness. You can't fight what you don't see. Every time you reach for your phone, every time you open a new tab just to avoid boredom, every time you eat, drink, or scroll to numb a feeling, you need to notice it. Not to shame yourself, but to recognize the pattern. Most of our slavery to pleasure happens unconsciously. The moment you see it, you already weaken its grip. The second step is what you could call strategic deprivation. That doesn't mean rejecting all fun or living like a monk. It means choosing on purpose to step away from addictive comforts. Try a day without social media, a week without junk food, an evening without noise, just you and silence. At first it feels unbearable. Your brain screams for the quick fix. But if you hold on long enough, something happens. Your mind recalibrates. Small things start to feel meaningful again. Real life starts to return. The third step is to rebuild your tolerance for discomfort. This is where strength grows. Let yourself be bored instead of escaping it. Sit in silence instead of filling it. Allow yourself to feel sadness without instantly numbing it. Discomfort doesn't kill you, it shapes you. Every time you resist the urge to run from it, you grow a little stronger. You teach your brain that it can handle reality without a constant drip of dopamine. The fourth step is critical thinking. Ask questions. Why am I reaching for this distraction? Who benefits from my constant scrolling? What could I be doing with this time instead? Every system that thrives on your attention wants you to not ask these questions, which is exactly why you must. The moment you question, you break the illusion of choice and start to build real choice. And finally, the most important step, replace pleasure with purpose. It's not enough to cut out distractions. You need something deeper to live for. Purpose doesn't appear overnight. It takes reflection. It takes effort. But once you find it, whether it's your family, your work, your art, your faith, it becomes an anchor. It makes discomfort bearable. It makes discipline natural. It gives you something to hold on to when pleasure fails you. None of this is easy. And that's the point. The system wants you weak. It wants you dependent. It wants you addicted to the easiest option. The moment you choose the harder path, the path of awareness, discipline, and purpose, you start stepping out of the cage. And yes, it's uncomfortable. At times, it feels lonely, but that's the price of freedom. Escaping the cycle isn't just about you. The moment you start to change, the world around you reacts, and not always in the way you'd expect. At first, some people will admire you. They'll see that you're different, that you're not always glued to your phone, not always desperate for the next distraction. You'll seem calmer, more focused, more in control. To them, you'll be inspiring. You'll become a reminder that it's possible to live differently, but others will feel threatened. Why? Because your freedom becomes a mirror. It reflects what they don't want to see in themselves. When you stop numbing your pain with distractions, they're forced to notice how often they numb theirs. When you stop chasing shallow pleasures, they're reminded of how much they still depend on them. And not everyone wants to face that. So they may resist. They may tease you for being boring. They may try to pull you back into old habits, inviting you to scroll, binge, waste time with them. Not always out of malice, but out of discomfort. Your presence makes their own dependence visible. This is one of the hardest parts of breaking free. It's not just about fighting your own habits. It's about standing firm when others want you to stay the same. True freedom can feel lonely because it separates you from the crowd, and humans don't like being separate. But here's the truth. Every step away from shallow pleasure brings you closer to deeper connection. Real connection, not the kind bought with likes or fueled by quick fixes. The relationships that survive your change will be stronger because they're not based on distraction. They're based on presence. In the end, you can't control how others react. Some will admire you, some will reject you, some will silently resent you. But if you know your why, if you're guided by purpose, you'll keep moving forward. And maybe, without even trying, you'll give others the courage to question their own chains. Aldous Huxley's warning wasn't just a story, it was a mirror. He showed us a future where chains weren't made of iron, but of pleasure. A future where people didn't have to be forced into obedience because they had been trained to love it. Look at our world today. We aren't beaten into submission, we're entertained into it. We scroll, we swipe, we consume, and we call it freedom. But deep down, many of us feel the truth. Something's missing. Something isn't right. The pursuit of pleasure promises happiness, but it delivers emptiness. It keeps us weak, distracted, and dependent. And when we trade discomfort for constant comfort, we also trade away our freedom. But there's another path. It isn't easy. It doesn't offer quick rewards. It asks for effort, patience, and resilience. It asks you to sit with silence, to face discomfort, to endure pain when it comes. But in return, it gives you something pleasure never can: strength, meaning, purpose. The choice is simple but not easy. You can keep chasing the next hit, the next distraction, the next empty relief, and you'll stay trapped in a cycle that feels like freedom, but is really slavery. Or you can step back, you can take control, you can choose purpose over pleasure, growth over comfort, freedom over distraction. And yes, it means walking against the flow. It means people may not understand you. Some may mock you. Some may resent you. But real freedom always costs something. And the question you have to ask is this: what's worth more, comfort today or strength for the rest of your life? Huxley's vision doesn't have to be our future. You don't have to live as a happy slave. You can be something else, someone awake, someone free. And if this message spoke to you, if you felt even a spark of recognition, then stay with me. Subscribe to this channel, not for empty content, but because here we question the illusions, we face the discomfort, and we look for meaning in a world that wants us distracted. So the choice is yours: pleasure or purpose, comfort or freedom, slavery or strength. Which one will you live for?